I want to talk today about finding a balance between caring too much about people's opinions and about situations that arise in your life and not giving a fuck, or more pretending that you don't give a fuck. So this video is just my opinion on finding a more realistic and I think healthier approach to it all. So in my years of coaching, I've seen so many guys who just care way too much. Guys pursuing career paths that they hate because their parents wanted them to. Guys that suck with women because they care so much about what these women think of them that they never even try. Guys that really want to get into personal development but don't because they're worried what their friends will think of them. The list goes on. These guys won't do what they want. They won't say what they think. They won't disagree with anyone. They won't go for what they want in life. They'll just really live in this constant state of fear and concern because they consider the opinions of other people to be more important than their own opinion, and they tend to value themselves solely on how other people see them, and that sucks because obviously it's a facade. It's just bullshit. They want people to like them, but people can't even see the real them. People are liking some bullshit cookie cutter version of them, while the real person is suppressed and frustrated with often resentment building up from constantly putting other people first and not being able to authentically express themselves. And then there are the guys on the other end of the spectrum, the guys declaring over and over how they just don't give a fuck. Now, these guys generally started, ironically, on the other end of the spectrum by caring way too much, but at some point, for some reason, they snapped and now they're in overcompensation mode. Obviously, they do give a fuck. This is Psych 101. It's just classic overcompensation. By trying so hard to convince other people that they don't give a fuck, they're trying to convince themselves. And I find this especially prevalent in the pickup and self-help communities where not caring what people think of you and being detached from outcomes is seen as this holy grail of self-transformation. Again, though, it's bullshit and it backfires. All that suppressed emotion comes back up eventually, and when it does, meltdown. All that underlying worry and fear and concern and frustration, everything that's been suppressed by trying so hard to play the I don't give a fuck role, well, all that springs back like a fucking rubber band. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I'm actually all for meltdowns, because meltdowns can be great. They can be the catalyst for change, the turning point for something better to come. But I can't help but to feel that the I don't give a fuck guys would find so much more balance in their lives and much more self-acceptance from learning to come back to center and from learning to be okay with giving a fuck, rather than this continuous cycle of like, I don't give a fuck, oh yes I do, meltdown, I don't give a fuck, meltdown. See, this is the result of the self-help industry perpetuating this idea that caring what people think of you or being concerned about things that happen in your life is somehow a weakness or a failure. So not giving a fuck at all, I believe, is mental illness. Like the guy that takes a piss on the tram, or the woman that yells at randoms on the street. Maybe they legitimately don't give a fuck, or maybe just way less than normal, but they're detached from reality. Like sociopaths don't give a fuck. Legitimately not giving a fuck is nothing to aspire to, in my opinion. Giving a fuck means that you are, to some degree, normal, and you're biologically wired to actually give a fuck and to care and to want good outcomes, to hope that people like you, because the people that didn't give a fuck back in the savannah days, well, they died out. Their genes died out. They were eaten by a lion because they didn't give a fuck, or they were abandoned by their tribe because they didn't give a fuck. So the people who survived, they gave a fuck. To be concerned about things was evolutionarily the best strategy, and they passed their genes on to you. So there are some social elements in there, absolutely, but personally, I think a lot of this is innate in us. So giving a fuck is something that you can't escape. You do care what people think of you. You do care what happens to you. You always will to some degree, and that's a good thing. Empathetic people give a fuck. Kind, caring people, generous people give a fuck. People who are in tune with themselves and with other human beings, normal people who want good lives, they give a fuck. You've cared since the day you were born. It was wired into you. You are the end result, well, not the end result, but you are the current result of millions of years of evolution. So stop denying that you give a fuck. So caring about things, events, people, opinions, situations, it's a necessary part of life, and it's a good part of life. It will make you strive for better things. But caring too much is one of the most stifling things possible. You just can't live your life if you're constantly trying to live someone else's. As I said, the people that you might be trying so hard to please aren't even liking the real you. Even you haven't given the real you a chance. You're living some bullshit life and people don't respect you for it. People intuitively know when you're desperately trying to please them or when you value yourself so little that you need their approval, and they don't respect you for it. The irony is that you might be trying so hard to get their approval and admiration when what would actually get it would be cutting your own path, doing your own thing, doing what you want, and living your own life regardless of what people may think of you. So being concerned of what people think of you is absolutely fine, it's normal, but it's when you let it stop you from growing and pursuing the things that you want that it becomes an issue. Being concerned about opinions or what could happen, that's not a choice, but what you do despite that concern is a choice. So as cliche as it sounds, are you living the life that you want, or are you at least working towards it? You don't have to be there and have it all sorted out. Very few people do, but you should at least be chipping away at it. Or are you letting the opinions of other people hold you back? Maybe the opinions of others wouldn't even be as bad as what you think they might be. Maybe you just haven't given them the chance. Maybe they would be supportive if you gave them the chance. Or maybe you're just projecting your own insecurities about the situation onto other people. Here are 10 points to help you give less of a fuck. 1. How do you feel about the situation, whatever the situation is? Do you feel insecure about it, or unworthy of it, or embarrassed by it? You'll likely project onto other people what you're feeling, and you'll assume that they feel the same as what you secretly do. So if you sort out your own head and any shame or guilt or embarrassment or whatever it might be, you'll find that people naturally become more accepting. So if you lead the way, they'll follow. 2, you need to actually realize that you will survive if someone disapproves of you. See, our ancient brains have linked approval from others with survival and disapproval with abandonment, because a disapproving tribe a few thousand years ago meant death for you. You need to realize that solid friends and family won't ditch you, even if they might not understand some of your choices. And if they do ditch you, well, so be it. They maybe weren't that solid. 3, you need to understand that people probably don't care as much about your decisions as you might think. So people are in their own world. They're doing their own thing. They're consumed by their own stuff. They don't give that much of a shit about you. So stop thinking that everyone around you is so concerned with whatever you're up to. Just take the biggest issue that you have in your life right now and think of how much you think about it. Well, everyone has their own issue and they're thinking about that, their issue, much more than what you're doing. 4, only you really know what's best for you, and if you maybe don't, then you need to make those mistakes. 5, some people don't actually want you to change or to grow or be successful. So sadly, when you scratch below the surface, this can often be the case. It can make some people feel jealous and insecure. It could maybe make them question their own life, their own choices, but you know, not everyone is like this, obviously, but there are definitely some people, and that doesn't make them bad people. It's maybe human nature, but this does happen. 6, other people don't make you feel like an idiot or isolated or rejected or whatever it is that you feel. See, you're not worried about them making you feel bad. You're actually worried that they might elicit in you the self-doubt, the self-criticism, the negativity that's already hidden inside you. Again, other people are just largely a reflection of how you feel. 7, every time you take a small step in doing more of what you want, you become better at it and you edge closer towards the life that you want. You edge further away from that concern about things that could happen and what people might think. You develop faith in yourself and faith in life. So just see it as a journey and commit to it. Just take small steps. You're not going to change overnight, but little by little, you will give less of a fuck. 8, giving less of a fuck doesn't mean that you're walking around saying absolutely everything that's on your mind. See, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever hold anything back, or that you shouldn't ever tell a white lie, or that you shouldn't ever keep your opinion to yourself in situations where it's tactful to do so. Developing confidence in this area doesn't mean throwing away your social intelligence. 9, again, don't be in a rush to just be fixed already. And don't feel bad when you do care what people think of you, or when you do get frustrated about a situation. You've been conditioned over 20, 30, 40 years to think the way that you do, and it's gonna take time for any of that to start to shift. So see it as an ongoing journey of growth. See each new challenge as an opportunity. 10, this is a big one, and it's one of the most common issues faced by anyone that tries to improve their life or get better in dating, start a business, become more spiritual, any form of growth. And that issue is that their social circle might not be that encouraging or accepting or helpful. So as you change, it's very likely that those around you will change also. And if you do lose some people on the path, which unfortunately is likely, they're going to be replaced by people that are better suited for your life now. I call this the evolution of friends. If you are the guy that's running around declaring how much he just doesn't give a fuck, okay, great. You've taken that first step in realizing that you maybe do need to care a little less, but you've gone too far and now you're suppressing, denying emotion. It doesn't help you. You can't grow if you're in denial, and people see through it anyway. So come back to reality and realize that it's okay to give a fuck. It's okay to be frustrated that something didn't work out. It's okay to be depressed if you've gone through a breakup. It's okay to be concerned if you look like an idiot. Everything's okay. In fact, it's good. Just balance it out. You're actually a step ahead of other people trying desperately to please others, and now it's time to get back in touch with the real you. Whether you want to or not, you'll always give a fuck. You are a human being evolved to be environmentally aware, personally aware, socially aware, emotionally aware, and to actually care what other people think about you and to care what happens to you. You always will to some degree, as long as you're normal and not taking a piss on a tram. And sometimes you do need to give a fuck. Some people think that they need to feel fuck yes in order to do things. I personally really disagree. I think sometimes what you need the most are the things that you've been saying fuck no to for too long. Like the obese guy going to the gym, the shy guy going out to meet girls, the depressed guy going to see a psychologist, the lonely woman accepting the date from the guy at work, or whatever it might be. So don't try and convince others or yourself that you don't give a fuck, but also don't be the person that sacrifices their life in order to please other people. Your happiness, contentment, growth, these are really important things for you. And that doesn't take away from the happiness of others. There is enough to go around, and you being in a good place yourself puts you in the best position to help others. There is sacrifice and compromise for other people. Of course, there's helping the less fortunate, there's helping your friends, your family, your partner. There's doing things that you might not even want to do for other people. And obviously this is all really great, and it's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is handing over your life and not going for what you want because you can't handle the idea of someone not liking you, or you can't handle the idea of something not working out or potentially failing at something. Learn to give less of a fuck. People around you are likely way less concerned than you think, and if they are, well, too bad. It's your life. They can be part of it or they can walk away. So be kind, be caring, be considerate, but value your own opinion, your own life, your own emotions, both positive and negative, very highly. Only then will you be in a place where you're giving a fuck for the right reasons. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, subscribe, because I'll be doing more really soon. Cheers.